Trip is a hard game to review. There was really no other way to do it than in a video, because the whole thing is really about the visuals. To be perfectly honest, Trip can only very loosely be referred to as a game at all. There's no plot, there aren't any enemies to fight, there's no driving conflict of any kind. Instead, Trip provides you with a bizarre, super colorful sandbox to roam and explore to your heart's content, full of unusual sights and characters that range from the amusing, to the strange, to the slightly unnerving. The closest thing Trip has to traditional gameplay is a vague collecting aspect that drives the player around the environment in search of things? I never managed to find everything, even after several hours of playing. Possibly because I never saw it as a very important thing to do. There may have been some super secret ending that I missed out on because I didn't, but I feel like the experience was perfectly satisfying as is. From the starting point, the world branches off into a handful of different areas, each geographically distinct, each with its own unique inhabitants and background audio, tied together in some way by the hint of some sort of underlying theme for each area. The graphics are appealing, the animation is chaotic, and there's almost always something eye-catching in the distance, compelling you to explore further. Although I found the overall presentation of the game to be fairly impressive, there are a few rough edges here and there. The menu is rather basic and could be easier to navigate, and there were a few cases where collisions seemed to be missing or NPCs didn't move or respond to my presence. But given the nature of the game, I can't be sure these weren't intentional. While the world of Trip is pretty obviously something you're meant to look at more than touch, I found myself wishing that the environment would react to me in a more meaningful way. In LSD Dream Emulator, the game that served as the primary influence for Trip, just about anything you did would result in drastic changes in the world, pulling you from one weird dream to another, randomizing things in the environment slightly, just to keep the game fresh. If you run around touching things in Trip, there will usually be some sort of audio or animation response, but that seems to be it in most cases. While Trip shouldn't seek to copy LSD completely, there might be some more gameplay elements worth borrowing and improving on in there. Trip isn't a game for everyone. To some, a game without clear objectives and constant positive reinforcement might seem like a waste of time, but anyone who's spent endless hours roaming the countrysides of the Elder Scrolls games or enjoys games like LSD that are weird for weirdness' sake will find something to like about Trip. Think of it less as a game and more as an interactive art piece. While it might not hold your attention for more than a few hours at most, it's a cool experience, and certainly a concept worth expanding on.